Alright. Is there a red dot?
Like on this?
Yes.
Yeah.
That means it's recording. Jesus Christ. Anyway. What's up, everybody? This is SNL Movie Chats, and we are your hosts, John Emery Singleton
and Joshua Lewis.
And today we are talking about getting all aboard on the Jungle Cruise, starring Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson and Emily Blunt. Man, this movie was loads of fun, and I'm definitely glad that I chose to watch it in theaters over Disney Plus Premier Access for sure.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's a better movie to watch in theaters. I'll agree to that.
Yeah, I think a lot of the aesthetics in the film, going through the Amazon, going down the river, those kind of things really popped well on the screen. The flaw to seeing it on the screen was that when the CGI wasn't hitting well, you could tell more. That's kind of how I felt in certain aspects. Sometimes with the tiger, I forgot the name of the pet that he essentially had, I felt it in that aspect. Sometimes in the scenery and in the villains from the crew. But other than that, it really looked stunning on screen.
Yeah, the CGI wasn't that bad for me either. I thought the tiger looked pretty well. I feel like I've seen a lot worse than that, so
definitely.
I thought it looked pretty good. And for the guy's suit, they kind of gave me like a Four Horsemen's vibe, so I kind of like that about them.
Yeah, how they all had their own little thing going on.
Yeah, that was a nice little like villainy aesthetic to add on to like the Four and stuff like that.
So in your TikTok, you brought up that you had some hesitation going into the movie. What were those?
Yeah, just the trailer. Like really, the first couple didn't really sell me on the movie. Besides it being like, you know, a fun Disney movie outing in the jungle.
Oh God, sorry, Frank.
Sorry, strong form.
Outside of that, I feel like I had a good grasp of what I was gonna get. So I was kind of like, it looks alright. I'm not gonna lie, it looked okay. But then I think their last trailer, and it starts with them having a conversation in the forest at night when they're around the campfire. That trailer kind of sold me a little bit more on the movie, and I was like, you know, okay, maybe it'd be a little bit better than I thought. So that kind of warmed me up a little bit towards it.
That's good. For me, I don't know what it was, but I was sold on this movie almost from the moment the cast was announced, because there's just something about watching Dwayne on screen that just, his charisma leaks through the screen. And same thing with Emily Blunt. Her level of acting ability is phenomenal. And her too, her charisma and her brightness and her kindness, you can tell it just irradiates off the screen. So I was so excited to see both of them together for the first time on screen. That was such an interesting combination, kind of like French fries and a McFlurry. You're curious to see what that's going to feel like, and then it's fantastic when you do it. That's how I felt going into this movie. And I had a blast the whole way through. The pacing wasn't perfect, but it felt well done, as opposed to something like, I can't think of a good example right now, but it didn't feel like the pacing was so worth it.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think for me, the pacing worked how for Snake Eyes it didn't.
I play Snake Eyes in the new movie.
There's a Snake Eyes movie?
And I felt too sped up. The pacing here felt good, it was supposed to go that fast. It didn't feel like we got here too quickly or anything like that. And I like that in the beginning of the movie. They definitely take their time staying with Emily Blunt and her brother, just so we can get the feel for both of them. And then they have the next scene with just Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson in it for pretty much until the title card of the movie.
Yeah, that was.
So I like that actually. I like it a lot.
The way that they did it was so, and he plays such a funny character with his consistent dad jokes throughout the whole thing.
Man.
It's so funny.
At first, them jokes were falling so flat for me. But then I realized it was like a gimmick that he was doing. I was like, oh, okay, no, so now it's funny, it's funny. And then he kept going and going. I'm like, okay, no, I like that.
And then, it kind of seeps through the whole movie, and she cracks the one right at the end with the driving a car. Exhausted.
No, that was a good way to bring that back too. I like that.
One thing I will say is that I wasn't really expecting it to be like a oh, we're gonna make them fall in love story.
Yeah,
That's not something I got at all.
Completely agree. Yeah, when they kind of, and it's funny too because when they were having these moments, I was kind of confused. I was like, is this just like a bond, like a friendshipy bond moment? Because it didn't seem like she was like looking for a man. You know what I mean?
Not at
Like,
first.
I never got that vibe from her at all. But then they had these like scenes together. I'm like, okay, that's cool. Like that's a touching moment, like between two people who don't know each other but are ultimately looking for the same thing. Like just a nice moment. And then those moments kind of started happening a little bit more, and it still wasn't. It didn't come off romantic to me until a certain point. I was just like, wait, are they gonna get together by the end of this movie?
Yeah.
And then ultimately, spoiler alert, ultimately they do. And I'm just like, I mean, it was okay, but I would have been alright if it didn't.
Yeah, I would say as a love interest, it didn't really work for me. It was kind of like a for
the
you like
friendship chemistry was better.
yeah, it was great. I think them clicking and like being like, oh my god, you're despicable. You lie about everything. Blah blah blah. Like that worked for me, and it was like they tried to squeeze a love interest out of like a good friendship, and I was like, that doesn't work for me. The friendship works, but the love aspect didn't really hit for me. So. Not that like fell anything because they didn't really focus on that
yeah,
much,
they didn't.
so.
That's a good thing too. They didn't focus on it too much because, like I said, they didn't allude to her like wanting a man or anything like that. To be honest, the movie was alluding a lot more to the fact that Emily Blunt is just a strong, independent woman, and they were really. And it makes sense too because the movie takes place during this time where women were still kind of being looked, at a certain type of way. So I like that. It's like it's two things. Like I like that was kind of overall through the whole movie with them like calling her pants and stuff like that.
Perfect.
I like that, but I also like that it's Emily Blunt. So she's the type of person who's gonna take all that just negativity, especially in that era, and like kind of just throw it out the window. Like it doesn't apply to her, especially her character in this movie that I like a lot. Like she's not bound to traditional women tendencies, especially during that time. So I love how powerful and strong she came off.
Yeah,
until she had to start swimming, which was funny.
That was such not really a twist, but it was like of course the one thing that she can't do
that
is
I thought was
swim.
funny. She sold me when when he was trying to teach her how to swim.
Yes,
That sold me. I was like, yo, that's a typical girl who's like not wanting to do something.
Yeah, like I can't do this. Don't try to.
Yeah, like that was her one moment where she was like really girly to me.
I think it was cool the way the adventure played out. The big twist of him, Dwayne's character, being a part of the original voyage that happened.
Oh yeah, I like that too.
Like in the 1200 or something. I agree. I was not expecting it at all. So when he got stabbed in that moment,
thought the rock got caught.
Yeah, I was like, okay, so we're gonna heal him with the heart shaper. That is now the prime goal.
Yeah, that's what I thought too.
But then he was just chilling, like, oh, I need you to pull this out of me. And I'm like,
that was kind of funny too.
there were some
like,
to kind of like flow to some cons. There were a few things that didn't work for me in the aspect of like this great like this tribe that lived out there and protected the heart shaper, blah blah blah, and obviously the crew that he was with back in the 1200s or something basically tried to like kill them off and stuff because they wouldn't give them the herb. And now they're like people who he pays to be a part of the
I didn't
attraction.
really.
That was kind of confusing because I'm just
I didn't get that either.
Part of the tribe or not?
Yeah, and it's like okay, did the tribe die off? But then from the flashbacks, they showed that one girl did get away, or at least nothing happened to her from what we saw. So then when they had the gimmick co-op of all of them, which was also kind of funny too when they got kidnapped by them, and he was like,
seriously, yeah, he was like,
he was messed up for that one. But yeah, that I thought the same thing. I was like, wait, are they actually part of the tribe or are they just acting? Like that part was a little loophole for me too.
Yeah, that was kind of. I mean, they did a good job of like almost foreshadowing it with the way that he was setting things up for the tourists. But I didn't think it was going to play into that, and it didn't really click for me as like that makes sense kind of thing. It's like this ancient tribe whose whole basically life goal is to protect the heart-shaped herb is just being a part of your charade or whatever.
A tourist attraction.
Yeah, it was kind of weird. But I think that worked for me. Watching them on screen together just worked so much for me. The brother was a great addition too. I think his character played well.
He was.
In the camaraderie that was the three of them and the tiger.
Mm-hmm.
And then another con that I did have that I did mention on TikTok was that none of the antagonists really worked for me, especially if I had to pinpoint one that was completely useless, was Paul Giamatti's character. It made no sense because it seemed like he was generally after this guy. And, oh, I'm going to own all the boats in the harbor. And then at the end of the movie, he just gets back and is like, oh, you own all the boats now. And it's like, okay, but you assisted in the destroying of my dock. You stole my engine. Like,
I
you
still
did a
didn't get
bunch
paid
of,
back.
yeah, you did a bunch of, I'm not saying you're a good guy or anything.
Yeah,
but
like, I don't care that, I'm glad, like, I don't really care that he didn't get his due, but that, for me, was like oh, you're in this movie? Like, okay, cool cameo, but, yeah.
pretty much. That's kind of what it felt like.
Yeah.
He also looked like he needed some sunscreen, but hey, I mean, I guess that's the life you live when you're on
Yeah,
the all the time.
I don't know if it's me, but Big Fat Liar I always just imagine him blue. Anytime I see him, guys,
Yeah,
like,
it was him.
I always
It's like a
just see
stain
him
on his visual prowess.
Yeah, I just always like see him blue. Like, I always laugh at that.
And some other things that worked for me was the whole map thing. Just finding out a part of like the fact that he was a part of that crew, and then that he was the one who had like mapped out the whole Amazon, searching and searching.
Yeah,
and
that was
searching.
cool. I like that.
That was neat. I think they did a good job overall with kind of connecting that and him sacrificing himself at the end to save them. And of course,
real Disney-like.
yeah, real Disney-like. It really did flow like a traditional Disney film, but it worked for me. It had flaws, but it worked, and it made me happy. I was laughing and I was smiling, and this felt like a fun movie to watch. Personally, it worked for me.
Yeah, they definitely hit it on the head with the adventure aspect of it. I think that was the real.
Yeah,
I think that was the seller. I feel like if that in any way altered or was any less good than what it was, I feel like that would have taken me out the movie more. But it was fun. It was cool, nice little gang. Even the guy that was coming after them,
Jesse Plemons.
yes, and
Yeah.
if you've never seen him, guys, he's also in Game Night. Really
Oh.
funny. He's the next door neighbor who's the cop.
So good.
So funny in that movie. But I liked him for he wasn't in it a lot, but just his role as like being the villain and come after them. He wasn't too over the top like some people could have overacted that. I feel like he kept it in the vein of like a Disney villain. Like, I'm coming for you. I'm doing these dirty deeds, but like, and I also thought it was interesting that he kind of killed those people in the beginning of the movie. For telling his name, I guess. I was like, oh, okay.
That's where we're at.
Yeah, he literally just murked like 4 people for what, bro? He didn't do anything. But I was like, hey, he's the villain, so they gotta let you know, I guess.
Yeah, I think overall this really worked for me as a whole. Emily Blunt being a part of it and just seeing her kind of... I know she did Mary Poppins with Disney, which I can say that I haven't seen, but I know she has the ability to channel into that fun, quirky side, and it was just really nice and refreshing to see her in that, especially after watching her in Quiet Place 2 earlier this year.
Yeah.
Which is
I
significant.
love her in that movie.
So, yeah, I would say this works for me. Do you really have any final thoughts?
I do want to point out, I do like that Disney took who do you know the director of this movie?
Not off the top of my head.
I do appreciate that they took the time to, again, with the movie being placed in a certain time era with the whole woman thing for Emily Blunt, having to deal with that and overcoming that. I also like that her brother had his own things he had to overcome with being a person in that age who was attracted to the opposite sex, or the same sex, I mean. I thought that was an interesting addition, and I kind of wasn't expecting that. And I kind of liked that moment that he was talking to Dwayne's character, and he was just like, just like, okay, cool, like, toast to that, like, there's nothing else to really go in depth about. It's not a big of a deal. And I like that, even for him being 400, 600 years old, he's like, okay, bro, cool, like, I don't care, and I'm older than you. Like, I don't know why it's a thing in this time right now. So I do like that about that. And I don't know, it was, again, I'm thoroughly shocked that I liked it as much as I did. I probably wouldn't go see it again. So for me, I'd probably leave it and maybe catch it like, Redbox, something like that. But I do really like Dwayne Johnson and Emily Blunt's chemistry on screen. Honestly, I could see them doing a different movie together. I would love to see that.
One. I could see that too.
I love everything. Both of them was great for me.
All right, so you're leaving this one.
Oh yeah, guys, I'm leaving that. I'm leaving that at the theaters. Get it at Redbox.
Okay. For me, I'm definitely taking it. Like I said on social media, this is definitely take this. This is fun, a fun family outing. If you've been waiting all year for a movie to really take the kids and yourself to have a good time to, stuff yourself in the car and go see this movie. This is a big take it for me. And I mean, hey, if I'm bored around the house when it becomes available on Disney Plus, not for the extra $30, I'll definitely probably, watch it if I've got nothing better to watch. This is definitely the way to go to just kind of enjoy 2 hours. And yeah, I think this is a take for me.
Hey, that make me watch it more. $30 less. Hey, I'll check it out too. And I guess with that, guys, we'll end the chat there. Thanks for watching. And if you like being part of the chat, hit that like button, smash that subscribe button, and make sure you have the notification bell ringing for next week's videos. And don't forget to follow the channel's social media plugins at the description down below. And you can follow me at Josh5K on Instagram and Twitter.
And you can follow me at JohnEmery97 on Twitter and Instagram.
Make sure you support your local theater and streaming service of choice. And until next time,
Thanks for chatting. God damn, too big.